I don't know why I did this. Swoosh. It sounds like water.
It's the calm before the storm.
I meant to do that then. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squeeze the Juice, Week 17. Evan and I are back. We are returning after quite, I don't want to say interesting, quite disappointing, championship weekend. NFC, AFC, all trash.
Nah, it was disappointing. It was disappointing. You're right. For betting purposes, it was very disappointing for you. I was able to salvage my record in the nightcap. But, yeah, we kind of said it last week. These were the two teams that we both didn't really want to see in the Super Bowl, but yet they were the favorite going in their respective conferences. Kansas City, Philadelphia, they're in there now. And, well, that's what's in store for us a week from now. I know you're upset about Joe Burrow. I'm upset about the Niners. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, as we do on Squeeze the Juice. We love to rip the Band-Aid off. That first game, it was over really 2 plays into the San Fran's first drive. Brock Purdy torn UCL. He's going to have to get Tommy John surgery. Probably won't be able to play for San Francisco next season. I would be very shocked if he did. Eagles just run all over San Francisco, 31-7. I was impressed by Philadelphia's dominance. They physically outplayed San Francisco. That was the main takeaway I had. Even though there was no Brock Purdy, the way San Francisco was playing defensively and offensively too, they were just getting manhandled by both offense and defensive lines of Philadelphia. They were not able to live up to what we had seen from them all season long, which is a really physical team, a team that leans on you and leans on you. That was Philadelphia. Philadelphia imposed their will and just took over that game. I was on Niners money line. You were on Niners plus 2.5. That was never going to happen. And then, of course, with the Brock Purdy injury, you had Josh Johnson come in. Then he got concussed. Brock Purdy tries to come back in, but like I just said, he has to get Tommy John on his elbow. He can't really throw when you have a torn UCL. It's pretty tough to do. So then Christian McCaffrey comes in for some funky Wildcat offense at the end. The over was just never going to happen once Brock went down. So the over 46.5, that was gone as well. So I was 0 for 2 in that game. Justin obviously also 0 for 1 in that one as well. What are your thoughts now, Philly, into the Super Bowl? Takeaways from that game? Any lingering thoughts? Any frustrations you want to air?
Takeaway is I can't be mad at the 49ers because you've lost 3 quarterbacks in a season. Technically, in a way, 4. So you can't be mad at them. The defense, it's good. Philly did play better, but when you have no quarterback, it's hard to be out there like, I can get this ball back and we can go and score and win. Because you can't rely on you can rely on defensive stops potentially, but not always defensive points. So that it was just an extremely unfortunate event. But Philly did prove they proved that they are legit again. And they just did it with consistency and not like, okay, we probably got this in the bag, like maybe this will be like a 21 or 24-7 win, but they kept the foot in the gas. They just kept rolling, and they were hitting on all cylinders, and there was nothing you could really do about it.
Yeah, I don't want to take away what Philly did, but they just didn't really have to do much,
Exactly. They were hitting everything because they didn't have to do anything.
That was just kind of their playoff, leading up to the Super Bowl. That's going to change, obviously, going against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, but they just really hadn't had to do much. The first game, the divisional round against the Giants, we knew what the Giants were. Well, at least I did. You didn't.
Well, I did. I knew. I didn't think the Giants were going to win the game, but I thought they'd cover.
Yeah, clearly it was just a mismatch. And then this game, as soon as Brock went down, like you kind of said it, once you don't have a quarterback and the offense is not moving at all, that puts a lot of stress on the defense, and that's really creating a lopsided, unproportional balance where your defense has to work twice as hard now with a offense that's just incapable of passing the football. In today's NFL, you have to be able to pass the football. Christian McCaffrey can only do so much, and the Eagles' run defense was able, once Brock Purdy went down, they were able to kind of engulf McCaffrey because the Niners just became one-dimensional. All right, into that last game, though. That last game, Chiefs, Bengals, Chiefs winning on a Harrison Butker last-second field goal. A lot of talk about the officiating. A lot of talk about Joe Burrow not having a good fourth quarter outside of the touchdown drive to start. Ending on an interception and a punt. Not great for Mr. Burr. Burrowhead goes down. Chiefs winning by 3. I was on Chiefs money line and the under 48 points. Those both hit. So I got my record back up to 2-2 last week. Justin was on Bengals plus 1.5. And unfortunately, Justin was 0 for 2 on the week. You are Mr. Joe Burrow. You got the Joe Burr shirt. You got the Joe Burr shirt on. Take it away.
I can't be mad in most ways because Kansas City still played a good game, and it was a 3-point win. It was a 3-point win, and you have guys like Travis Kelce being like, "I'm the best in the world. This was like a blowout. We have to absolutely smack them down." Shut your mouth.
Well, okay, let me contest you there for a second because the entire week, all the Bengals were doing was talking.
Oh, I know, and that's part of the game, like Joe Burrow said. It's part
I
of
know,
the
but
game.
I think you got to take care of your business on the field. And if you're talking all week and you lose, you know what's coming at you. You know what's coming at you.
Not with Travis Kelce.
Oh, Travis Kelce is one of the biggest smack talkers on that team. He's
He's
always talking.
such
He's
a
got
bum.
a podcast with Jason
I know,
Kelce.
yeah, and
They're
and if you watch
always
that,
talking.
it's always Jason Kelsey's always the better brother.
Yeah, he's a
Because he's not an idiot. He saved Jason. He saved Travis's career.
I'm just saying, you can't be talking all week long. And
Eli
then,
Apple's the problem.
they're all the problem. I mean,
No,
Joe
Eli
Burrow wasn't
Apple.
doing much talking, but everyone else was. When everyone is calling it Burrowhead, that puts a target on you. That puts a target on the team. That fuels
It's
the
true.
other team.
They shouldn't have been talking.
They're talking way too much. And then the mayor comes out and says
That
what he
was
says.
so stupid.
Like, you guys gotta look. It's. I know it's exciting. I know you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but please act a little professional. You've been here before. You just beat them last year. What more do you have to prove? Go out there, take care of your business, and do the talking afterwards. They want to talk all beforehand, acting like they already won the game. Patrick Mahomes on one leg has something else to say. And I don't even like the Chiefs. I don't like Mahomes. I don't like this team. But I'm going to be honest. I was getting pretty annoyed at Cincinnati doing all this chit-chat when they hadn't even played the game yet. Like, play the game and then do your talking. Like, that's just the way I see it. Like, you don't need to talk all week long going into the game because now the other team is just pissed. That's just how it is. That's football. I mean, go on. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I was just gonna say. The thing is about going back to the other game, Philly. The Eagles. None of the players got to say nothing because their fans are in the streets of beating everybody else up and doing the slander for them.
Well, yeah, the Philly fans are just completely out of control. They're completely obnoxious. You see Jalen Hurts afterwards. He's not satisfied. You look at his face. It looks like they lost the game. Like that's his reaction.
Kobe.
Like he's just so intent on winning. He's so locked in. That's what I admire a lot about Jalen Hurts, and I liked him at Alabama a lot, liked him at Oklahoma a lot. I was kind of sad he went to the Eagles because I don't like the Eagles. I hate their fan base for the most part. There's some good fans, but you got to look hard to find them. And overall, I'm just not a big fan of the Philadelphia sports teams in general. So when he went to Philly, I
only like the Flyers. That's the only team I like from Philly.
It's hockey. I mean, like...
Yeah, I know you're like, it's irrelevant. You're like, it's more football, basketball's on your mind. Well, you're baseball, too.
Yeah.
So the team you care least about in Philly is the only team I care about, so it works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Flyers, but I also don't really like... it's not like...
Well, I can be fair. I only like them because of one player, and he's gone now, so... Fair enough.
But
I don't know. We'll see what happens. The Bengals will be back. The Chiefs will be back. I mean, whether they win the Super Bowl or not. I mean, both we'll get into that later, but we know that it's
Yeah.
like your tiers said last week.
Yeah.
It's those two.
Yeah,
It's
I
those
think
two
it's
now.
gonna. I mean, for me, it's Mahomes, Burrow, Lawrence. Those are the guys that. Herbert and Allen. I mean, really, those 5 guys are going to be competing every year. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to come down to, Mahomes and Burrow. So this will not be, or at least I hope it's not, the last time we see Mahomes and Burrow in the AFC Championship game going head-to-head, because every game has been decided by 3 points. They have all been very close, very physical, very entertaining. And, Sunday night did not disappoint. That AFC Championship game was phenomenal. You can say what you want about the officiating. You can say what you want about, all the other stuff, but it was a good football game. It was a great football game.
Officiating in that game was a problem, but officiating in most games recently, and even in the NBA, that discussion's brought up.
Yep.
Like, officiating in general right now is not at a good level, at a good point.
No, and I honestly thought the officiating in the NFC Championship game was worse than the AFC Championship
Really?
game. Like, if you were watching both those games, the Niners were getting called for literally everything. Like, literally everything. Like, it wasn't even... Like, there was no debate. Like, they got penalized, I believe, 11 times. Like, that's a Kyle Shanahan disciplined veteran football team. That's not some team full of rookies, everyone's under the age of 25. No, that's a disciplined veteran football team. To get penalized that much, it just felt a little subjective to me. Like, everything just felt so intent almost on calling heavily on the Niners, where I was just like, all right, when is enough going to be enough? These officials need to be held accountable more. And the same goes to show for in the AFC Championship game, because there's a lot of missed calls. I mean, on the second to last drive, the one that Burrow was leading, he got late hit. But that was a obvious roughing the passer call, and they didn't call it. I mean, let's call it fair. Let's call it both ways. No one's going to complain. If you have to make a tough call, make the tough call. Don't not call it because you're an official in a big playoff team. Big playoff game, and it's going to go against the home team. That's just where I think it gets a little ticky-tack, is because they're afraid of this public outcry. They're afraid of the fans. No, just call the game fair. That's all it takes. No one's going to complain if you call the game fair. In the NFL, they have to do a better job of making sure their officials are paid better, paid more maybe to entice them, make them full-time employees, educate them more, get some younger, youthful, officials in there, so you're having this almost officiating renaissance where, all right, they're full-time, we're going to take care of them better, and we're going to get some younger eyes on the game that maybe be able to react a little bit more, see a little bit more, and just kind of better the game overall. And I also love the idea of a sky judge. Just have this
I agree with that.
overarching
I like that
official that's nope, that's wrong, change it now. You could have one for every single football game, making easy decisions. It should not be this difficult.
Keeps the pace of the game better. Football's
right.
already long in general.
Right. No one's leaving the stadium. It's not like baseball. They don't have a issue with people paying attention. Everyone is paying attention to the football game when the plays are going on. Everyone's involved. Everyone's into it. So it just goes to show you that we are at a point where technology and the data and knowledge we have now needs to be used to better the game. And it starts with officiating, because the players get frustrated, and then their frustration leads to fines. And then the fans get frustrated, and at the end of the day, no one is held accountable for these bad calls.
Yeah, the refs can do whatever they want, and they won't get anything against them.
Exactly. So that's my spiel.
The Joey Bosa situation.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Dude just walked to the sideline. Ref runs up on him. He says something to the ref. Ref throws the flag.
I mean, it helped the Jags, so I'm not mad, but still,
that was just
things need to be handled a lot better, going forward. And there's no excuse. The NFL needs to get on top of this. Just like they're getting on top of changing the turf conditions, changing the field types. There's improvements.
These are
that are very
$1 billion.
easy to be made. It doesn't take a ton of tweaking. You don't have to create a giant contract, or you don't have to create these, bylaws and go through this legislative process. No, it's a very simple, like, boom, like that's an executive change. Let's get it done. It does not take a ton of it does not take a ton of time to make these kinds of decisions. Like, these are fairly easy, in my opinion.
$1 billion franchises, $1 billion organization,
and a commissioner getting paid $60 million a year. Like, come on, let's get on top of things. Let's make the game better.
Absolutely.
So that's it. That's all I got to say. I just had to get that off my chest because I hear all this talk. It's like, let's focus on getting better. Like, that's what the NFL needs to do.
Absolutely.
So let's get on to the slate that we have today. We got no football games this weekend.
Unless you want to watch the Pro Bowl, but
no one does. I mean, it's 7-on-7 flag football. It's kind of interesting.
It can be like hyped up because the guys can make it more fun. It depends on how they do it,
Right, but we got early look at the Super Bowl, right? We got coaching carousel to get into. We got some interesting things going on around the NFL now. Like, we got so much to talk about.
Made up.
It's going to be more of a discussion, more of a talk show, and we hope you guys can engage, have some fun with us, and we are a sports betting podcast, but that doesn't mean we're only going to be doing sports betting. We've talked about a ton of different things that haven't related to betting, and this is going to be one of them. A show like today where we're just having fun discussing football, discussing the drama of the off season. Let's have some fun. But we are going to stick to our guns a little bit here with an early look at the Super Bowl. What are your initial thoughts? Eagles, Chiefs.
Initial thoughts? Least favorite Super Bowl in I can't tell you how many years.
For me, it's probably my least favorite since Broncos, Seahawks.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. The first time or the second time?
They only played once.
Oh, my bad. I'm trying to think. Well, because who smacked down Manning?
That was Seattle. Seattle. They won like 43-8.
Then who did Manning smack?
He beat Cam Newton and the Panthers.
Oh yeah, he came back. I forgot about that. Yeah, I have to agree. Because you had probably the end of Peyton Manning and the rise kind of Cam Newton.
Right.
In that one. So yeah, I agree. Broncos, Seahawks. That was
that was one where both teams I was just like, bleh. I mean, even like the Niners and Chiefs from a couple years back.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
I was like, okay, like, and I was kind of on the Niners all season long here, but still, at that time I was like, all right, like San Fran's, they're good, they're cool, I guess, but at the same time, like, it's just one of those franchises where you're like, okay, but this season I was a little bit different because of, they just made so many sick moves, and I'm actually growing to love Jimmy G, so I'm hoping wherever he goes next is someplace good, but
we can talk about that late in coming weeks as well.
That's true.
Off season of football is going to be interesting. Him on the move, Derek Carr on the move, Carson
Rodgers
Wentz done,
potentially,
Rodgers on the move, Matt Ryan done probably. I mean,
Matt Ryan should be done. He needs to go.
Him and Wentz can shake hands and retire. Matt Ryan does not need to go to Washington.
No.
They don't need to follow Wentz on the trail.
Please no.
So yeah, I agree though. We're probably the worst since then. I mean, there's no thing I enjoy about the Super Bowl. I don't know how much I'm gonna watch.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Super Bowl's got you sick.
Honestly, yeah. Sick to my stomach because it is disgusting. I literally was like, give me Bengals or Niners. I would rather see either one of those because then I could actually root for one of the teams.
Yep.
But seeing Philly back, I don't mind Philly as much, but Nick Sirianni really bothers me.
I can't
because
stand him.
I've never seen a cockier coach than he is right now. And then I just don't like the Chiefs and Mahomes.
Yeah.
The only thing I like about the entirety of the Chiefs franchise and everyone involved is hearing about Andy Reid eating cheeseburgers. That's all I care about. And he's very funny on State Farm commercials. That's pretty much it.
I do like Andy Reid. It's hard not to like Andy Reid. He's a class act, great head coach.
Brilliant coach.
So respectable. No, but you're right. Nick Sirianni, I cannot stand. He is so annoying. And, I mean, when you look at this game, Eagles, 1.5-point favorites. Public heavy
right
on them
now,
early.
yeah.
62% of the public is on the Eagles spread per Action Network. And the total is currently sitting at 50.5. So, total's going up.
Really?
I believe it opened up at 49.5, so it went up a point.
I could see it being up there.
I could see it being a high-scoring game. I kind of agree with the public going over, but interesting stat here. So the jersey combinations came out
I
for
saw that.
the game, and Philly is going to be wearing their green.
They chose to wear the
They
green.
chose to wear green. Kansas City is wearing white. Now, everyone kind of knows this in the, Super Bowl sphere in the football community. The team that wears white in the past 18 Super Bowls is 15-3. And then all time, the team that wears white is 36-20. Chiefs are wearing white. They got history on their side. That might be influential.
Yeah, for you people who are very superstitious.
If you're superstitious, the team wearing white usually wins this game. Now, what's funny is the Chiefs, when they won the Super Bowl back in 2020, they were wearing red. So that one of the three, wins with the team not wearing white in the past 18 was Kansas City. They're wearing white now, but I'm just, that goes to show you.
And the other team was Philly, and they wore green their last Super Bowl win.
And they won.
Ugh. That's tough, because then Philly's got that on their own side.
That's true. That is true. But, I mean, the last time Kansas City was in the Super Bowl, they wore red again and lost to Tampa Bay. So, who knows? We're going to get into
So
it
much
next
controversy.
episode because we didn't want to make this episode fully, just
Super Bowl, 'cause that's gonna be the
we
main
still
thing
got,
next
we
time.
still got a whole nother episode to talk about the Super Bowl. But that's just early lean. Where are you going?
Early lean, real talk, early lean right now, Chiefs.
Okay. See, I'm Eagles. I don't know why. Something in my gut is telling me go Eagles. I could change though. I'm very on the fence.
Okay, so that you want to know why I'm saying Chiefs right now? I'm going to do more research, and I'm really going to look into it, but straight up, the only reason I'm saying Chiefs right now is because if I bet them and they win, I win my bet. If not, the Eagles win, and I'm happy because the Chiefs lost. That's my answer right now.
It's sound logic. It is sound logic.
Straight logic right there, man.
No, for
You either
me,
win your bet or the team you don't want to win loses.
for me, it's so difficult because, like we kind of discussed a little bit ago, I don't know how to gauge Philly when they went against the Giants, who stink, and the Niners, who were on Christian McCaffrey as their quarterback. Like, Christian McCaffrey was the quarterback.
They played frauds and injured.
It's tough for me. But what Philly is able to do with both their offensive and defensive lines is so impressive that it's hard for me to be like, Kansas City, while they do a great job against the pass rush, their offensive line is very good. Kansas City has done a great job upgrading that offensive line since that last Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. It's just really hard for me to think that it's going to hold up all game long. And then on the other side, that D-line for Kansas City is going to be able to match what Philly's offensive line is going to bring. Because those lines for Philly, they're non-negotiable. Like, they're going to bring it, and you kind of just have to sit there and take it or find a way around it. Other than that, I don't know how you slow this team down. They just feel like the better football team. And as much as I give respect to Mahomes and Andy Reid, it's just going to be very difficult for me to find a way to pick them. But I'm very on the fence. I haven't done any research, but just like my gut feeling is telling me that. Now, there's a lot that goes into it. We're going to get down to the science. We're going to deep dive into it, so we'll get a better feel for it. And I might change my mind because, like I said, I don't really know where to go with it. Just my gut is telling me Philly. They've only lost one game with Jalen Hurts starting at quarterback. Justin, one game.
Washington.
That's it. I mean, that's just a team that's just been dominating all season long. You can make your qualms about the schedule and who they played and whatnot, but I don't care who you are. It's impressive. It is impressive to lose only one game with your starting quarterback over the course of a season.
And yeah, because only the injuries, it could have been locked in at one, absolutely, instead of the multiple other losses they had. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you talk, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce, it's Andy Reid, but it's Jalen Hurts, and he's got a weapon at every turn. I mean, I get Mahomes has MVS, Juju on the outside.
Kelce.
Kelce is automatic, but
obviously.
but you know what I'm saying
Yeah.
though. Like, you got Kelce and Goddard right across from each other, but like outside, who you taking? Devonta Smith or MVS? Devonta Smith. You taking AJ Brown or Juju? You taking AJ Brown?
Yeah, and they haven't even really used AJ Brown this postseason. He's been complaining. He's like, I'm not even getting the ball. It's like, I don't blame you, but at the same time, they haven't had to do much. It's been so easy for them this postseason. It's the easiest postseason run of all time.
I know.
Like
they're
this
talking
is
about it.
like, with all due
The
respect
bubble.
to Philly, this is
A bubble run.
This is Mickey Mouse. This is Mickey Mouse. What's going on right now?
Welcome to the Magic Kingdom.
New-
And that's all they'll be headed after Super Bowl.
And they might be, honestly. I mean, they're probably so fresh after playing San Francisco and New York when they barely had anything to play for.
And where'd they go? They were just chilling in Philly.
I don't even know what to say, man. If the Lions could get a Super Bowl run like Philly did this year, I'd be so happy. I'd be over the moon. But I know as soon as we get good, the NFC is going to be like this monolith, this Goliath, where we're just going to have to go through a gauntlet. And
Like
Philly
how the
over
AFC
here,
is now.
yeah, exactly. And Philly over here is getting New York. I'm sorry, Giants fans. You were the biggest overachiever all season long. And then you got a fraud Minnesota team. And you're lucky that Minnesota lost that game too, because I think Dallas could have competed with Philly. I do. I'm saying it right here, right now. I think Dallas could have brought something in Philadelphia. Division rival. They've seen each other twice without their starting QBs each time. And Dallas has the defense to match up with Philly's offense. And look, at the end of the day, it's Dak. I don't trust Dak, but I'm telling you right now, Dallas poses a much larger threat to Philly than probably any other team in the NFC once you factor in Brock Purdy,
They got
going
the
down.
easier of the NFC team.
Exactly. If Minnesota won that game and Philly got Dallas, I'm not totally convinced Philly is here right now. I would still say that they probably are, but I'm not convinced entirely that Philly just rolls Dallas like they rolled New York and they rolled San Francisco.
They could have been scared.
I think it could have been a competitive game. I do.
Could have been scared by. Dallas could have scared them. They get worried. They play the 49ers, and now they're more worried and concerned. Maybe Brock doesn't get hurt. Complete different situation. We don't know. Anyway, good pre-Super Bowl chat.
Yes, we're gonna get into it much more, but that's a little teaser for you guys. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked the tease, but we're gonna get into a lot more.
All right, all that Super Bowl chatter. We're going to get into some juicy topics. As Evan says, the buzz.
The buzz, baby.
What do you got cooking for us first, man?
Well, we only got 2 teams in the Super Bowl, right? But there's 30 other teams in the NFL that deserve some discussion, and what they're doing right now is discussing within their personal quarters and offices and whatnot. They're discussing off-season plans, free agents, trades, draft. We got it all for you. So the Senior Bowl is this weekend, right? But they've been practicing all week long, and I don't know if you've been keeping up on Twitter, social media, but there's been some players that are making a name for themselves, that are boosting their draft stock, and some players that we have talked about on this show. Well, specifically one, my guy, Tulane running back Tyjae Spears. I talked about him. I looked back, episode 5, I believe. I told you guys, I saw him play versus Tulsa, Tulane-Tulsa. I was like, who's the running back for this team? Like, he is popping off my screen right now. Tyjae Spears. I didn't know much about this kid, but he is an absolute machine. I don't know if you've seen these videos. His cuts, his catching ability, just the juke moves, the planting the foot, get speed, space. He's got it all. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be a stud in the NFL. He's going to be a steal. I love Tyjae Spears. He's had a great Senior Bowl practice all week long. I'm looking forward to seeing him get drafted someplace. Hopefully, the Lions, because I think he's special. I think he's got so much talent.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that'd be a good fit, honestly. He has the vibe. He's got the stature. He's so shifty when he gets into open space, and it's like one move and it's over. Like, don't miss. Don't miss.
Did you see, like, have you seen some of these runs that are now trending because people are like looking at this practice film? They're like, they're finding these runs from over the course of the season. Like we were watching these, because we've been watching Tulane. Like, we've been on Tulane. Like, we put them on the screen, I believe, like 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, guys, like, this team is good. Like, roll wave. Like, we're telling you, Tulane is good. And Tyjae Spears is a big reason why. I'm very, very happy for him. Not that I know him personally, obviously, but like that he's like doing this because because I just think when you sit down and you watch a football game and someone jumps off the television, it makes you feel like you're connected to them in some way when later on, months down the line, you're seeing like the fruits of their work and their labor like actually grow into something beautiful. And I think Tyjae Spears, like, I think he's going to be like a 3rd-round pick at the end of the day. Like, and that's for a running back, that's prime real estate. Like, that's a really good spot to be in. Lions got to pick at 81. I would love to see Tyjae Spears go because Jamal Williams, you're probably re-signing him, but what is he? Goal line, power back, kind of a closer, gets it done late. Like, when the going gets tough, you got to get a couple yards to get the first down to ice the game. That's Jamal Williams, right? Swift, you got him for one more season, but are you committed to him long term? Like, you got to ask yourself a tough question there because he's had the injury concerns.
If he gets injured again this season for a couple of weeks, I don't think so.
Like, how can you commit money to him? And as much as we like Swift, he's a good running back, he's a talented player, but can you commit money to him? Like, can you give him a 2-3-year contract? Yeah, I just don't see it. When you can draft a Tyjae Spears in the 3rd round, you have him for 4 years, and you're paying him less than you'd be paying Swift by a lot.
And you got a nice, not an overpaid, but a good price tag for Jamal Williams.
Right.
And you trust him with his consistency and record broke. He is the team. Like, he brings more than just running the ball to that entire team and franchise, honestly.
Right. And I mean, there's a ton of teams that could use a guy like Tyjae Spears. I mean, and at the end of the day, the Lions, as much as I'd like to see him draft Tyjae, probably won't.
Yeah, just it's not something that absolutely, like, we need this right now.
Right. So, will they draft a running back? I think they do. I don't know if it's the 3rd round or maybe in the 5th. We'll see. But, I love his talent. He's going to be a stud. My next guy, offensive guard from the University of Florida, O'Cyrus Torrence.
I've heard that name.
I've seen some film on him because I was like, all right, people are saying he's the top guard in the draft. Let me go back and look at what he's kind of done. Let me see how he's matched up against none other than Jalen Carter. And while Jalen Carter probably got the better of him on the day, he was able to get by O'Cyrus Torrence when they matched up. He was able to get to the QB a little bit. Anthony Richardson felt his pressure.
Anthony Richards always feeling pressure.
Torrance was really impressive to me. He was able to handle Jalen Carter, and when he wasn't matched up with Jalen Carter, he was dominating the matchup. Like, no one was getting past him. So when I look at O'Cyrus Torrence, and I'm looking at some of these team needs, obviously we're both Lions fans, but you look at it in a broad picture. If you want a guy that's going to be in the interior of your offensive line for a decade plus, that is going to be consistent, that is an absolute physical specimen, he's like 6'6", 3 something, like, he's going to be an absolute force in the middle of that offensive line where you can, if you're sitting, 14, 18, 22 in that range, if you're thinking, what's an easy pick where I don't have to worry about it, I can plug him into my offensive line day one, and he's going to be able to protect my QB and create holes for my running back. It's this guy, O'Cyrus Torrence. He's a stud. I would love to see the Lions take him at 18. He's my favorite right now at 18 because I think as much as you don't think you need to add an offensive lineman, if you had this guy next to Penei Sewell, you're looking at an offensive line of Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, who we're going to have to extend, Frank Ragnow, Osiris Torrance, and Penei Sewell. And you look at the NFC. Who are the 2 best teams in the NFC this season? And you can even say 3, right? Let's throw Dallas in the mix.
Eagles,
what do they all have?
Niners, good offense line.
Good offensive line, but better pass rushes. You need an offensive line that is elite to compete in the NFC. In the AFC, it's all about the quarterback. In the NFC, it's all about the offense and defensive lines.
Battle the trenches.
If I was Brad Holmes, I'm investing at 6 in the trenches and at 18 in the trenches. Give me Osiris Torrance at 18. I don't know if you've heard much about him.
I know the name and I know who he is because I've liked Florida for a while since the Tebow days. So I always keep tabs on them. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite team, because you know who my favorite teams are in the SEC,
right?
But no, I know him solely because of his size. I remember
he's a monster.
I mean, talk about Godzilla in the flesh.
He's a specimen.
I don't hate the idea of taking him. I think he could slip out of the first round. I don't think we'd take him in the first round. I know you'd love that, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with loading our
offensive line, man. I love the offensive line.
Our offensive line just keeps reloading, and I mean, if you think that one of the guys is just maybe not truly fitting it, or you're concerned money in the future, I wouldn't be against taking the shot, the second pick, but I don't know. I don't know if we take him. I know we need defense too badly, man.
Give me a defense in like the free agency, like let's sign some defenders and then let's.
How's that gone in the past?
I don't know, but maybe with a little bit of momentum, going 9-8, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, players kind of buy into the vision. We
send money to the 33-year-old guys on defense. That's what we do.
You know what? You're right, but maybe things change. We haven't seen Brad Holmes really be aggressive in free agency. Maybe we'll see it this season.
He's being smart.
I agree, but he's had a great Senior Bowl practice as well. And then the last guy that has really stood out, my man Jayden Reed out of MSU. He has been an absolute dynamite receiver in the Senior Bowl practices this week. Everyone's raving about him. He was projected 3rd round at the end of last season. Now, we came back to Michigan State, trying to build on that, maybe get 2nd round. Unfortunately, injuries plus a horrible MSU offense, let's call it what it is, that kind of derailed his plans. It bumped down his draft stock. But now that he's in these practices, he should have a great Senior Bowl game. But these practices, he's really stood out. His draft stock is absolutely soaring. I expect him to be a 3rd round pick now. I do. I think he has really, really impressed me because, look, I always thought Jayden Reed was going to be a good wide receiver, but you're seeing it now. Like, he is getting open every play. He's fast as hell. He's got great hands. He's going to be, I think he's going to be a steal, and that's not Sparty talking. That's like, objectively, logical. I think he has what it takes. Like, he can be a nice inside slot receiver, but he can also go outside. He's not the biggest guy. I believe he's 5'11", 6 feet, but Jayden Reed has it. He has it, and he's great in the special teams too. You can't take that away from him. Not that you're drafting a guy solely to be a punt returner, kick returner, but he can do that for you in spades. So Jayden Reed, that's the last guy that I've seen, create a lot of buzz on Twitter, a lot of buzz in the scouting circles as of late. You're reading online, reading the articles. Jayden Reed, he's been that receiver this week.
Bill should hop on the line and give him a ring.
Please.
But the real question is, which Bill? Now we got double Bill in the building.
Both Bills, call him up.
Be like, look, we got a guy back here. He's been disrespected as a quarterback because we've made some dumb decisions with our offensive coordinator recently. We're gonna give him the opportunity of a lifetime.
Please,
the Patriot way.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Those are some good picks.
That's all I got from the Senior Bowl. I mean, there's been some other great players in this as well. I believe Kenny McIntosh and Tank Dell. He's been a popular name as well. But the Senior Bowl's fun. Like, this is a fun time of the year. You're seeing some of the older guys play, because you get all the juniors and redshirt sophomores. Like, once they get out of there, let's see the guys that have stuck it out 4 or 5 years. Let's see what they can bring. Let's see how they, increase their draft stock. I've loved what I've seen from those guys specifically this week, and I think they're going to be phenomenal talents in the NFL, especially, my favorite is Tyjae Spears.
As we're about to move forward real quick, a little quick question for you. What are your in a shortened version, what are your thoughts on Will Levis skipping everything?
I don't like that. Straight up. I don't like that. I want to see a guy compete. I want to see a guy put in all the work that he can, whatever he can show up to. And if I was a GM, I would want him there. But that's his call. Doesn't want to get hurt. Doesn't want to partake, whatever, focus on whatever things he's got to take care of. Maybe he's rehabbing. I don't really know. He was banged up all season long. Sure. So maybe there's some good reason behind it. But, if he was healthy, if he's right, and if he was capable of going, I'd like to see him go. But it's his call.
Fair enough. All right. Senior Bowl chat. Loved it. Excited to see this draft coming up in a couple months. It's gonna be quite an off season. It's gonna be quite a draft. There's so many moving pieces. I mean,
T. Higgins rumored today. Maybe that could be a moving piece.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you saw that, but
I've heard there's discussions. Will he take a lesser deal? I don't know.
He's gonna want wide receiver 1 money, and I mean, who would you like to see trade for him? I mean, my favorite's the Pats, but
of course.
I mean, outside of that, like, where could you see him going? Because I feel like it's hard to see him going to like an AFC team. Like, they're probably going to want to trade him to the other conference.
Due to money, I couldn't see him in a lot of spots. I thought the Jags for a second, but they're paying
maybe Chicago.
They're paying Christian Kirk's a bag.
Well, they also got Calvin Ridley now too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Always forget about that. That's such a sleeper thing.
It is. It really is.
Next season's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. They got to pay Evan Ingram, don't they?
Yeah. We'll see if
he might take a little less. Money than he's expected.
I think he wants to stay there. Yeah, so
he's happy he's not in New York anymore.
No. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't chase a bag. That's a little bit larger than the one you already got when you're in a good situation.
Fair enough. To the coaching carousel.
Yes, this has been crazy this week.
First, we got 5 big teams: Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals, Indianapolis Colts. I don't think I'm forgetting any. I think those are the 5 main ones. Quite a week. You got Denver Broncos originally fired Nathaniel Hackett.
Yep.
Joke of a hire originally. They go bold and trade for Sean Payton. Shocking.
I love it. I do.
You think so? You love it?
For me, it's you got to go all in. You traded for Russ. You gave up a lot for him. You can't sit around and
have some
first time rookie head coach come in. You need a guy that's established, that has a resume, and is very competent offensively, and that's what Sean Payton is. Look, Nathaniel Hackett, he's a quarterback's coach. He's Rodgers' guy. He was never a head coach. He's never meant to be a head coach. Sean Payton is, though. Sean Payton is totally up for this job, and I don't mind what they gave up to get him either, because look, you're stuck with Russ. If it's this season, next season, whatever, he's going to be the QB. So you either find a way to make it work, or you don't.
Money.
Yeah. So I'm happy that they're going all in for it. They're probably paying Sean Payton a ton of money, but that's what you have to do when you're Denver. This is the situation they're in. They had no choice.
You just need to trust and guide the pieces you have, because you don't have bad pieces. You have a great defense.
Great defense.
You have Russell Wilson. He's people say he may not be in the elite category anymore, but he's still a really good quarterback when he's on.
He can be. I just think they need to simplify the offense, make it easier on Russ. You go run heavy, do play action, roll out.
Will be back.
Get Russ back to what he was doing early in the Seattle days. They're probably gonna have to do a lot of tweaking, and that offensive line needs help. Russell Wilson was sacked a ton. They need a lot of help up front, but I think it was just a easy decision for me.
Out
Like,
of
you
the
got to go.
teams
You
that
got to
are
go with
there,
Sean Payton.
Yeah, I agree. Would love to see him in L.A. with the Chargers and Herbert, but man,
Yeah, but you know,
I think he would have He would have jumped on that. In
yes, that's
second.
totally what he wanted. But you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. He's in Denver now. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah. Houston Texans fire Lovie Smith after 1 year. All these one and dones. Hire DeMeco Ryans. I think DeMeco Ryans is the better hire, the smarter move coming in, but Lovie Smith was a scapegoat. He was robbed because he's still a really good coach. He was just purely set up, like him and Culley, right, the year before,
Yeah.
as simply just, hey, you guys are just pretty much guide our team. Well, we have to figure out all this Deshaun crap, and then we'll go find our guy later on.
I think Coley and Lovey knew what they were getting into. I mean, I don't think they were oblivious to what Houston was doing. And look, I'm wearing D-Hop today just because I love D-Hop. I'm not a Texans guy, but they made a great hire at DeMeco Ryans. I thought he did a terrific job orchestrating San Francisco's defense. And you can make the case, well, you know, how hard is your job when you have, you know, Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw and, you know, all those guys, Javon Kinlaw. You got all these guys on defense. Like, how hard is your job really? But look, at the end of the day, scheme, putting guys in situations to succeed, that's on the coaches. And DeMeco Ryans, you see it with him. You see it. He's got this energy about him. I love DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to be a great fit in Houston. And the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree has not had a bad apple so far. They've been all pretty good. So I don't think you can doubt what Kyle Shanahan has done in San Francisco. That's why you shouldn't be doubting DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to be a great head coach in Houston.
I agree. I think you just trust him. Be like, you know, he's got these picks that can really help that offense, and the offense can move. It has pieces there. You just got to have extra things put in place. And then as a defensive-minded coach, you know how you can get the best out of your guys and your defense, and maybe spend a little free agency money. But like, I think it's positive for Houston. I think you can't, but you just got to trust DeMeco Ryans and make the smart picks though as well.
It all starts with number 2. You know, it all starts with the number 2 overall pick. Depending on who they draft at QB, we're assuming it's a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's going to set their franchise up for success or failure. That's really what it comes down to. And it's on, you know, Nick Caserio, their GM. It's on DeMeco Ryans. It's on that whole, you know, scouting department to find the right guy, to identify the right guy. And if they do, they're going to be set up nicely because the AFC South, I mean, look, we talked about it. We love Trevor Lawrence, right? We think it's going to run through Jacksonville, but there's an opportunity still to take the reins in the AFC South. Like, it's not just given to Jacksonville. And if you can find the right guy, that division can be yours. It can be Houston's. So it's on them.
Because it's not going to be the Colts anytime, at least right now. Anytime
well, no,
soon.
because
Depending on
Jeff Saturday is going to be their head coach.
You think so?
Inexplicably, he is going to be the coach. I cannot fathom why.
Jim Irsay.
It's a total sham hire. It's a total sham hire. It's gonna be Jeff Saturday. He was horrible. 1-7.
Yeah, the one game you picked
And he blew it. And he blew it against Lovie Smith in Houston. That is on it. Like, he blew a 33-0 lead to Minnesota and then a 31-24 lead or whatever it was against Houston.
I love that game.
What are we doing? Send him packing, get him back to ESPN headquarters, and hire a real coach. Hell, take Aaron Glenn. Take Aaron Glenn. I love Aaron Glenn. He's a great DC. I'd love to have him. But you know what? Aaron Glenn's a real football coach. Like, that is a guy who knows his game. He knows his stuff, and he's a leader. Jeff Saturday is not that. He does not know football, and he's an airhead. He's a balloon. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He knows how to coach an O-line. That's all. That's his.
Well, he's a great offensive lineman.
Exactly, but that's it.
Yeah, start small. If you want to be a head coach, start small. Like, you build up. You don't just waltz into head coaching job in the NFL.
If you want to be a coach for the Colts, stay as an offensive line coach.
Everyone wants to mock Dan Campbell. Dude was a assistant coach for 10 plus years. He did his time. He learned. He learned behind several coaches. Sean Payton being obviously the main one. But he did his time. He learned. He grew. Jeff Saturday just fell up into this job. Like,
out of nowhere,
what are we
for
doing?
No reason.
What are we doing? God, it's so stupid.
Speaking of insane hires, to me personally, Carolina Panthers. Fire Matt Rule, obviously. That was expected before the season even started. But hiring Frank Reicht or whatever his name
Frank
is.
Reich?
I think that's a horrible hire.
Really?
I do. I get there's all the hype about him. Oh, yeah, he was the first, Panthers quarterback and all this and that. But it's like, he's not a guy to me that's just going to flip this team around.
I don't know. I disagree, honestly. Frank Reich is a very good offensive head coach. That team needs a quarterback. And look, Frank Reich was doing good things in Indianapolis. Like, he's a good football coach. It doesn't help when your GM and your owner are not supplying you with the quarterback. I mean, you look at what Frank Reich was able to do with Carson Wentz last season. Like, Carson Wentz looked kind of back to his old self, but Jim Irsay didn't really like Carson Wentz. There's some locker room issues, whatever. He goes to the Commanders, and he's terrible. I mean, that's just the Frank Reich effect. He knows how to scheme guys open. He knows how to make the quarterback's life easier. I mean, Frank Reich was the OC in Philadelphia, right? When Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. Like, that was his team, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that was his offense, not his team. Obviously, Doug Peterson was the head coach, but that was his offense. So I think Frank Reich is I think he's a phenomenal coach. I do think you might be right. Like, does it fit with their timeline? He is 61. Like, I get that, but I think he's a good offensive mind. He's a good football coach, and if they get a young guy in there, maybe they get a Anthony Richardson, maybe C.J. Stroud falls to them. Who knows? I think he'll do wonders for whoever their next quarterback is.
My bigger beef is that Steve Wilkes was robbed.
That's fair. Steve Wilkes definitely did not deserve to be let go. He did a phenomenal job coaching that team, but
he's not getting the respect he deserves.
No.
He carried them the rest of the season. He's been a great defensive coordinator. All the guys vouch for him, love him. But guess what? He's probably gonna head to the Bay, and he's gonna vibe with the Niners and finally get the respect he deserves next year.
Or if Aaron Glenn goes to Arizona, maybe he comes to Detroit. I mean, that'd be nice.
I'd like him.
Yeah.
I'd take him. I'd take him. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Panthers quarterback whole situation.
I think that's all got to play out a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that has
I
to
agree.
play out because it depends on who their quarterback is. If it's a young guy, I really like the hire because I think Frank Reich is a great head coach to kind of nurture him and get him in a position where he can succeed. If it's a veteran quarterback, I think they're just delaying the inevitable. If they acquire a Jimmy G or Derek Carr, it's like you're not going anywhere with those guys. Like, just with the condition of the team currently. Like, you'll probably win the NFC South because it's so weak. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think that's like I don't know. I think it's like, okay, you get a guy for 1-2 years and then what? Like, the team isn't really built to compete with the other teams in the NFC. They have a lot of issues still. They have a lot of holes to fix. So, I don't know. I would go with the young QB and grow with the team.
That's fair enough. I mean, since we were already chatting about it for a second, I guess we don't really have to go too much more into it, but the Colts, they fired Frank and now he's in Carolina.
Colts in Arizona.
And you're beefing with Jeff Saturday, so I mean we don't even need to get into the Colts talk because it's just a joke in itself.
It's a sham.
I hate it because I really just like the Colts as a team, but they don't know where they're at. After Andrew Luck left, they don't know
it's a sham.
left or right.
It's a sham. They are a joke of an organization. I'm happy, though, because I hate the Colts. I do. I didn't like them. Peyton Manning, I respected Andrew Luck, but I don't like the Colts. So I'm glad that they are a joke.
I like them for whatever reason.
Nah. Screw them.
Last one. Arizona Cardinals. If you're going there to be a head coach, don't. It's a waste of your time. You have to take care of a child. And now he's injured. Ain't worth it. Ain't worth it. Cliff Kingsbury literally left the country when he was fired.
Okay, well, Cliff's not a good coach.
Yeah, I knew that. And he was the whole reason let's let buddies. Let's hire a guy who's very inexperienced right now. We got the first pick. Let's bring in Kyler Murray. Who needs baseball? Maybe he does, but he got a bag.
No, Kyler's making a lot more in the NFL than he ever would in the MLB. I mean,
yeah, because they had to pay him.
They did
for no reason. It was a waste of money to me.
Kyler is super talented. He just needs a coach that can kind of rein him in a little bit. I'm not saying babysit him, but
Yeah, but
you know,
if he
kind
can't
of take
respect
charge.
them, then he needs to. You're answering the question.
No, you're right.
You are answering the question though. You're saying to take charge, and so I'm like, but he
No,
can't.
Kyler. Look, here's Kyler's biggest flaw. He's not a great leader. Like that's just what it comes down to. Like I love Kyler Murray. I think he's super talented. I think he has the potential to be one of those, you know, elite quarterbacks, or maybe not elite, but like in that like tier of, you know, like tier 2, kind of like what I had last week. But the issue with Kyler Murray is he just doesn't have the mental toughness, I think. And I don't want to question his mental toughness, but it just feels like what you're seeing on the football field, what you're hearing in the contract, all the shenanigans and the gossip of last year, it's just like, when is Kyler Murray just going to be like, enough's enough? Like, I'm taking control of this team. Like, this is my team. Like, everyone needs to quiet down. We're going to be fine. Like, I just want to hear him say something that's like a little bit nuanced, thoughtful, and kind of just shuts everyone up.
Accountability.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect word. I want him to take accountability for everything that went down, and I just want him to say, like, I vow that things are going to change here. Like, I'm committed. I'm dedicated to getting this right, and we're gonna be just fine as soon as I get back. Like, I just want to hear him say that. Like, it just feels like he just let everything get to him, and everything's like, you know, a shot, and he takes it so personally.
Yeah,
it's
being
like
attacked by everybody. These people that want me. This organization.
Right.
The organization
deleting
paid you
Instagram photos. It's like
hundreds of millions of
it's
dollars.
like, Kyler, I love you, dude, but let's act with a little bit more logic and class, and let's handle our business properly. Now, you know, no head coach wants to go there because they got a quarterback that is torn ACL. He's going to be out till week 8 or 9.
The last 2 spots
You know,
between the Colts and Cardinals.
I mean, it's just a mess. So what do you do if you're a prospecting head coach looking at a job? You know, there's only 32 of these open, you know,
Go
in
hang
the
with
whole
Colt McCoy,
world.
man.
And every year, 5-7 open up. So it's like, what do you do? I mean, do you take a chance as a QB, or do you take a chance as a coach on, you know, a QB like Kyler Murray? You beg, you know, Arizona for, like, give me a 6-year deal. Like, if I'm coming here, I want the bag. Like, I want commitment. You know, it's like, I don't know what you do as, like, a head coach, because no one wants this job.
Because also, hey, Kyler Murray is probably going to miss like half the season. Am I going to get fired right away because he's not here?
You know,
Are you going to trade D-Hop from underneath me? You know, there's a lot of moving pieces.
The Cardinals remind me a lot of the Lions a couple years ago, because Dan Campbell was not, like, as much as I like Dan Campbell now, like, he was ranked like a pretty bad hire. Like, everyone was kind of low on him because of the situation the Lions were in. It was a grueling rebuild, and it was even before that. Like, people were like, Dan Campbell, like, you're hiring an assistant head coach / tight ends coach. Like, what are you doing? But that's how unattractive the Lions' job was. Like, people don't realize how ugly it was 2 years ago. Like, we're all smiling now. We're like, we got such a good future. It was horrible 2 years ago. Like, don't let that be ignored. It was horrible. You know, that's kind of what the Cardinals are in right now. Ugly roster, not a ton of talent, QB that's on the mend. You know, what do you do?
It's fair enough. I don't know where they're headed.
I don't know either, but
hopefully they're headed somewhere nice.
We'll see. We'll see with them. It sucks because I do love Kyler, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's an ugly situation, a UGLY situation.
Jets. Zach Wilson, how you doing on that bench, baby boy? We'll see you next year. Yeah.
Asta.
All right. Now we move on to a couple of the fun little questions we brought up throughout the week. So I actually came up with this one. I asked Evan.
Yes.
He knew immediately. I told him not to let me know until now. So the determined question is, who, for each of us, before the season, aside from the Final Four teams, which would be the Chiefs, Eagles, Niners, Bengals, and the Buffalo Bills, did we think was probably going to ease their way into the playoffs and possibly win and go to the Super Bowl? We both picked one team from each division. Which division do you want to start with?
Let's start with the NFC.
NFC. Do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
You can go first. I want to hear yours first.
Okay. Shockingly, I have the Rams.
I feel much better about myself right now. I feel much better about myself right now.
Shockingly, I have the Rams. I had to look at the teams when I went back with it because there were some obvious people. Because, like, you take away those teams, like, me and Evan both have talked about this. We were both, obviously he was probably a little before, but heavy on the Niners all season. But, I excluded those teams for a reason. I thought the Rams, I didn't truly think they could win back-to-back because that's extremely hard to do. That's like beyond hard to do in the NFL. That's one of the toughest things to do is win a Super Bowl back-to-back. But I thought they'd be like an okay team and get back to the playoffs, But, man, injury after injury after injury after injury after just bad play calls, bad everything. The season just crumbled.
It did.
And it almost gave us, but, in the eyes of the Lions and the pride, it was wonderful.
It was amazing. And look, I make bold predictions before the season every single year. It's in my notes. I can back this up. If I'll post them. I don't care. I'll literally post them on the Squeeze the Juice Twitter, at Squeeze the Juice. I think it's STJ Sports Betting. That's the Twitter handle. Plug in the Twitter account. I said the Rams weren't making the playoffs. I was convinced of that opinion last March. I don't know when I said it, but I was convinced. I said their season went so perfectly, it's not going to go that way. It doesn't happen 2 years in a row. And it didn't. They had a ton of injuries. They didn't have a very talented offensive line. Like, it's not like their offensive line got super banged up. They just had nobody to put in there. They were a joke of a team this year. Now they're going to have some more draft capital this year, and they might be able to get a little bit better. Clear some cap space. I think they'll have a bounce back season for
McVay and Stafford.
I think they'll get back to like being a decent team. Who knows what they'll be, but
like second in the NFC West, maybe.
Right. I don't fault you for picking the Rams because my pick was Tampa Bay. Like, I thought, maybe Tampa Bay gets back to it. The division's weak.
It was so hard for me to believe it.
And, I, like, in my mind, in my notes, too, I had Niners. I was Niners all the way. I thought this was the team that could actually do it from start to finish. But Tampa Bay was, like, my alternative. I was like, maybe Tampa Bay does something here, Down year last year, competitive game against the Rams. You get most of your guys back. Maybe they go on a run. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Injuries to that offensive line. Defense wasn't totally the same as it was, from past years. So that was my NFC team, Tampa Bay Bucks. They made the playoffs at least.
Shout out Brady.
Yeah.
Retirement round 2.
Yeah, it's sad to see Brady go, but at the end of the day, it is time. It's time. Not that he went out like a horrible quarterback. He wasn't.
No.
He didn't suck.
The thing is, he didn't have to go out on top to be like, I'm good and I'm out. Like,
right.
he could have stepped away from the game 5 years ago and still been nuts.
Right.
I don't know. AFC. Who do you have? Do you want me to go first this again?
I'll go first because I want to get this out of the way. This is like your Rams pick. My pick was the Broncos. That was my pick. I in my notes I said I think the Broncos win the Super Bowl. I said that in my notes. It was my bold prediction, so they were bold. It's not like I 100% believed in them.
I got to join you on those picks.
They're fun, man. They're fun, yeah. we can make them on the show.
Yeah, let's do that.
But yeah, I had Denver. That was my pick. I thought the Broncos could do it. They added Russell Wilson. I always thought that defense was phenomenal. I had questions about the offensive line, but I was thinking, you know what? Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Russ, that defense, it should work, right? But it came crashing down like an avalanche, and I was at the bottom of the hill. It just completely wiped me out. So
maybe Sean Payton's the missing link.
Maybe he is. So I got a lot of hope and faith in the Broncos to improve next season. But that was my embarrassing AFC pick. I actually thought they would. I thought they were going to win it all, and they made me look like a fool.
Yeah, mine's a little better. Mine's a little better or safer. After the crazy offseason they had, How did the Chargers not get farther?
Trevor Lawrence
And
Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley. Bad play calls. Bad coaching. So much talent. You paid for that defense. You traded for that defense. You just had a healthy offense. You have an incredible quarterback. You have one of the probably a top 5 running back. You got receivers end to end. I mean, maybe your weak link is tight end, but like you got it all.
Yep.
You got it all. You're in LA. I mean, what more could you want? And your coach is the problem, and they kept him. I mean, I don't know what to say. I think Herbert might have his time. I don't think Staley's the man to do it, though. They lost out on their opportunity. They just had to keep Staley. Staley played Mike Williams. You fire the OC as a scapegoat. You know what? Fire all 3 coaches, honestly. You have all this talent and all this opportunity, and you lose to the not that the Jags are bad, but you lose to a Jags team that was once 4-8 or
4-8. They were 4-8.
They were 4-8. They come out of nowhere and beat you like that, and they smacked you up at your home in the beginning of the season. Like, you got to be kidding me.
That's a fair pick. Good criticism of them. I think they have a nice season. I love the addition of Kellen Moore. I think that is going to change life for Justin Herbert.
I like that too.
I expect a lot of the Chargers. We're going to see, though. The offseason has to play out. They got to make some moves. They got to make some good draft picks. But, yeah, I think we're going to see a much more efficient, a much more dynamic, and a much more entertaining Chargers offense under Kellen Moore. I think he and Herbert are going to be phenomenal together. Speaking of Herbert, we got some QBs of the future, different from last week's tiers.
Yes.
These are the 5 guys that we want going forward.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I got a little interesting in here because I put a 6th slot, and I got 3 guys locked in at that 6th slot that are just sitting on the outside just for the fun of it. But, yeah. So the last topic is what we think. Did you make it in order, or did
I have mine in order.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to say mine's in order. You want to
go first?
I can if you'd like me to. Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to just go list and then list?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Should we have,
let's go back and forth. I like that.
Do we want to go 5-1?
No, let's go 1-5.
Okay.
Because I think we all know. I think we all know who is going to be at the top, or who should be at the top.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
You go first. Yeah, you go
right.
first.
I mean, come on. A little biased. I got Joe Burrow at number 1, quarterback of the future. The man's a pure quarterback. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, there's other guys are more talented," but as a pure form of quarterback, how can I not pick this man? He's got it all. I know he didn't win this weekend, but everything about him. I mean, he's got the poise. He's got the patience. He doesn't get in his head. He makes smart plays. Just some situations don't fall the right way.
No.
I already know who your number 1 is.
I'm not going to let you get away with it. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I'm not a Mahomes guy, but you just have to show respect where respect is due.
I will at number 2.
No, he's number 1. He's number 1. You cannot tell me right now, going forward, you would have Burrow over Mahomes. Like, if you start a franchise, everyone is picking Mahomes. Like, you are not picking Joe Burrow.
It's personal.
Come on. Come on.
It's personal.
All right, fine. I'll let you get away with it.
Okay. Hey, let me look. Let me look at Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Who do I want to start a franchise with?
Yeah, but Mahomes has won it. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. Mahomes is, like, I thought Mahomes is more like a Peyton Manning, but he's, I think he could easily get to 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
The Chiefs have been the Chiefs have been literally 1 or 2 games for like the past 10 years short of a Super Bowl with Alex Smith. And Mahomes just waltzes in there with Andy Reid and a juggernaut of a team.
I don't disagree at all. He came into the perfect situation.
Joe Burrow rebirthed the city of Cincinnati.
Okay, that's great. And I'm proud of Joe for that.
But there's a dumb mayor.
But you know who's also doing that? Jared Goff.
I don't
Jared
disagree.
Goff's also doing that in Detroit. So I mean, look, we can say this and that about what quarterbacks have done to rise their teams up from the ashes, but Mahomes is doing this at an unreal pace. He's been to 3 Super Bowls already. He's 27 years old. He's been in the AFC Championship game every single year as a starting quarterback. Like, some things you just can't refute. Mahomes has been that guy for 5 years now. And whether we like it or not, he's going to continue to be that guy. He's going to be in the AFC Championship game every single season going forward. It's going to be very Brady-esque. It's going to be very Manning-esque. It's going to be in between, I think. It's going to be in between Manning and Brady. That's where Mahomes is going to fall. And I like Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't like him, but I like the idea of Joe Burrow. And that's not a knock on Joe Burrow.
I like the idea of him.
But I'm just saying, I like the idea of Joe Burrow. And he's my number 2 quarterback. He is. He's my number 2 on this list. You can look at my list. Joe Burrow's number 2. Okay?
I got Mahomes at 2.
I have him a peg below Mahomes. That's no disrespect to Burrow. That's actually respect to Burrow. Because Mahomes is, as much as I hate to admit it, he's number 1.
I got Mahomes at 2. Respectfully.
All right.
At least I don't have him at like 3, 4, or 5.
No, you're not a hater. I mean, it is
a little biased. I don't disagree that Patrick Mahomes is absolutely more talented. Who do I think is pure like think about it.
I get what you're
Brady's
saying.
purely the better. That's my comparison. Brady's purely the better quarterback between him and Rodgers, but Rodgers is way more talented.
No, I think most people would say Brady's definitely not the most talented quarterback of all time, but he's the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, exactly. That's my comparison vibe. But
No,
I know
I get that.
I know you said what? You said it's more like Brady Manning than it is Brady Rodgers.
Right. I don't think Mahomes is Rodgers at all.
I feel like talent-wise he is, but like the vibe of just being so like crazy
I
talented.
Think Manning
in
is
weird
more.
ways.
I think Manning's more talented than Rodgers.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's
a
just
discussion
me.
for another night. We're rolling right now.
All right. Who's
gonna be a 3-hour episode, right?
Who's your number 3?
Surprisingly, actually not surprisingly, my number 3 is Trevor Lawrence.
Same. I have Trevor Lawrence as well.
Dude, he's got everything you could ask for in a quarterback.
Yep.
If as long as he's on it, he's making smart plays. He's got the crazy arm. He's mobile. He's got great height. I mean, everything about him.
Yeah, I love Trevor Lawrence. I feel a little dirty because I was looking at Trevor Lawrence jerseys the other day. I don't want to.
I was feeling a little dirty.
I was just looking at them. All right, I wasn't gonna buy them.
If you do, you go get a Maurice Jones-Drew. That's what you do.
The thing is, the Jags jerseys are kind of trash. Like they're not great.
They're not what they were.
No, so I wasn't gonna buy one. I was like, let me just look, okay? So I want to tease myself.
We gotta get some Green Wave stuff.
We do. I'm gonna get some. Don't worry.
We'll get a flag in here.
It is on. I've been looking at stuff. Don't worry about it.
He's in the bag.
Trevor Lawrence. That's my number 3. Number 4. I got Justin Herbert.
I have Justin Herbert as well at 4.
All right. So I feel like we're kind of in agreement here.
We have a little more biased in the 1-2 area,
right.
But like we know what's up. We know who's top 2. We know who's top 4. We know how it is. It's just flip or flop based on opinion 1 and 2.
All right, we don't really got to get into Herbert.
No,
he's a great talent. He's just like
him.
Lawrence. They're both great talents. I need to see more. I want to see them do more. But yeah, great talents.
Trevor Lawrence right now is he has. You could say he has the lesser team, but he beat Herbert both times. But he has the better coach. That's the huge difference maker.
Who's your number 5?
I don't love this, but right now, Jalen Hurts.
I don't hate it. I like it. I mean, he's proven it.
I don't love it, but I agree. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But
in that offense,
right now,
though,
yeah,
like he's gonna continue to be successful.
Yeah, that's why I think that right now.
My number 5.
I know what you're gonna say based on your reaction.
No, you don't. Number 5 is Caleb Williams. Number 5 is Caleb Williams.
Here.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I needed to specify that it was literally the current NFL.
Williams. I knew it was going to get you
even
mad.
Get drafted for 2 years.
I don't care. Caleb Williams is top 5 for me. The talent, the arm angles, the special plays. He is unbelievable. He is going to win multiple Super Bowls in the NFL, and whatever team gets him in the NFL
At
draft
all.
in 2024 is getting a blessing. And that is going to be in Detroit. We are going to see Caleb live in the D, and I am going to be screaming for Caleb Williams. He is my number 5 quarterback of the future. I would take him over Josh Allen right now. If you told me wait 1 year on Caleb, or actually, if I could stash Caleb right now or take Josh Allen, I would take Caleb Williams. Call me psychotic, call me psycho, call me crazy. I don't care. Caleb Williams, number 5. I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. Caleb's number 5. I know you didn't. I know you wanted it to be NFL,
I knew you'd pull some.
but
garbage
I was
like
thinking to myself, no, Caleb.
I knew you were gonna pull some garbage. I thought you were gonna say Josh Allen the way you were vibing, and I'm like, oh gosh. You want to know who my honorable mentions were?
Let's hear it.
I got 3 honorable mentions. Josh Allen, respect. He's still good, but
Yep.
he's not elite. Truly, he's not truly elite. He's a good quarterback, but he's not.
No, that's fair.
He's not what we thought. Second, a little older than the bunch, but I got Jared Goff.
Interesting. Okay.
I got Jared Goff
Okay.
there, and a man who hurt himself, cut himself down, but if he is connecting right and he's slinging it, he could be ahead of like 2 or 3 of these guys, and that's Deshaun Watson.
I like your honorable mentions. Deshaun, as much as a scumbag we believe he is, and what he probably is, he's so talented. They got to get it right in Cleveland, but he is so talented. There's no doubt about it. I like that. Jared Goff is interesting because what you hear from the fans around the Motor City, our beautiful town, there is not a ton of love for Goff. There's a ton of love for who's next. And I want to say this respectfully to all those who think that there is some, transcendent quarterback in this draft class. Look, there could be, but guess what? You're not picking him. You are sticking with Goff. Look, I like the idea of a young quarterback on a rookie deal. I do. And if Brad Holmes picks one, his draft record right now tells me it's probably a good pick. But we don't need a quarterback. We have one in Jared Goff. This guy's a Pro Bowler, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,500 yards. Phenomenal end of the season. Didn't turn the ball over the past 10 games. He's our quarterback. Like, let's just end the facade. Let's end the charade. It's over. Jared Goff is our quarterback. Let's focus on getting this team primed for a Super Bowl run. A Super Bowl run. I know it's a big word in this city, but that's the direction this team is headed. Look, they're going to be competing for the NFC North for sure next year. The NFC is not some super scary gauntlet. You don't have the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the NFC. I think you have some of the best rosters, but you don't have some of the best quarterbacks. If your roster is on the same level as San Francisco, as Philly, as Dallas, you have a chance to go and compete for a Super Bowl. And I think they can do it behind Jared Goff. I don't care if you disagree with me. That's just the reality. Jared Goff is our quarterback. I like him on your list. I think that's
good. Honorable
I think
mention.
if he takes a step forward, is able to connect with JMO a little bit more. The offense was great, but I think it can take a step forward. Like, I think even Jared Goff would admit we can do better. We can do more.
The big plays are what was lost from him last season.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of big plays. It was a lot of well-sustained drives, and that is honestly more important to me than the big play.
Consistency.
But having the big play in your back pocket is, what got Mahomes his first Super Bowl. I mean, that launch of a bomb to Tyreek Hill late in the fourth quarter is what started their comeback drives. I mean, they were down 10 with under 7 to go, and that launch to Tyreek Hill got them to where they are now, which is just nearing dynasty levels. Like, if they win this next Sunday, that is what Kansas City is going to be embarking on, is being that next dynasty. And it all started because of the deep ball. And it having guys like that changes games. It just does. So
Fair enough.
want to see that from Goff. But I love your list. I do. I have no complaints except for Mahomes and Burrow. I think that's preposterous, but that's fine.
At least I have. What if I have Mahomes as an honorable mention?
You would just be lying. You would just be lying.
I'd be trolling.
You would be a troll. That's Skip Bayless level trolling, or Rob Parker.
gosh.
You see what Rob Parker said about Tom Brady? He said, if I was voting on the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't vote Brady in. That's a real quote. You can look it up.
I'm guessing he got fired the next day for an idiotic statement.
No, he didn't.
He
He's
should
still
be.
employed.
Unfortunately.
He's from Detroit, too. He's the biggest Detroit hater. I mean, I don't want to disrespect the guy.
Well, then
who's
get out of
been-
Detroit.
Well, he lives in L.A. now.
That's why.
He doesn't like it here, and he doesn't like Brady. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the East Coast doesn't want you, so.
I knew Caleb was going to rattle you, though. I knew putting Caleb in at 5 was going to get you heated.
I know he's a great quarterback. He's proved that, and I don't hate that. But I was only rattled because I'm like, oh, I didn't know we could go like, all right, so hey, Arch Manning is on my list right now, man.
I need to see Arch Manning start before I can make some sweeping declaration about him. I've seen enough out of Caleb Williams to know that he is going to be one of those guys for years to come.
One of these boys in the 8th grade. Let me put him on the list. I don't know what his name is, but I'm just gonna put some
Caleb
8th
is going to
grader.
be draft eligible next season. All right,
I know,
he won
but
the Heisman.
I know,
He
but
is-
I was trying to go off of base guys currently in the NFL.
Yeah, but he's going to be. He's going to be the number one pick.
Out of
It's
the-
like if you're talking about the future, like that's the future.
Out of Jalen Hurts, Goff, Watson, and Josh Allen, who would you swap Caleb for? Hurts, Allen, Goff, Watson. Before we close this out after this 3-hour
That's a good
episode.
question. Yeah, it's been a long episode, but it's been fun. I would probably at the end up picking. If individual basis, I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts is
Primed up right now.
he's on a great team and he's leading the team, and I think he's a much better conductor of an offense than Josh Allen is, just based on what I've seen. So I will pick Josh Allen, but
Honorable mention to Hurts.
yeah,
for
yeah.
Evan. All right, that was quite an episode today. It's a little bit of a long one for you guys, but hey, we didn't have any picks, so we made it some fun commentary.
Yeah,
a little
I
more
mean,
show time.
Yeah, think about it as like a radio show or something like that. We're just
We're shooting the.
all these hot topics coming right at you. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to talk. It's so much fun to bet on these games, but sometimes you just want to
Chat
have
it
a
up.
conversation and not worry about losing money or sweating out a game.
Literally.
Even though, I mean, let's call it what it is. Our records, I mean, in the NFL have been pretty good. I mean, 40, 43, 37 and 2 for me. Justin's 40, 35 and 2. I mean, overall, it's a little bit different story. I'm 67, 54 and 2, which is 55%. That's phenomenal. I'm probably not going to hit on that again next year. But Justin's 56, 57 2. He's got one more chance to get 500 here.
On the football season.
That's a more exciting. Yeah, I'm going to end the season positive, which is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. I hit 58.5% of my bets in college too, by the way. That is
College screwed me.
cracked up numbers right there. Like that is, yeah, college was not fair to you. That was not fun.
Too much love, not enough logic. But it'd be like that sometimes. But anyway, thank you guys for watching or listening. Another episode of Squeeze the Juice. Remember to follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram.
SCJ Sports Betting, baby.
Follow us on TikTok. Evan's always everywhere doing everything, man.
TikTok, I've been slouching. I'm not going to lie to my audience.
But Twitter,
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter because I want to see more interaction on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. SCJ Sports Betting.
You heard him.
It's not hard. It's got the same logo right here. It's the little bird, the blue app, even though Elon Musk is run into the ground. We're on Twitter. SCJ Sports Betting. Come on. Enough.
Like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. All that jazz. We will see you guys next week for the big Super Bowl.
Yes, we will. Can't wait.
We'll get into that. We will get into that.
Yes, we will.
We might flip our picks. You heard our early thoughts. Let us know yours. But anyway, keep squeezing that juice. And we will see you next week. Peace.
Caleb wins high five quarterback.